in addressing human rights situation in a swift and proficient manner. Despite these achievements, the Council still faces a number of major challenges that need to be addressed. In doing so, we must be careful not to repeat the same mistakes of the former Commission on Human Rights, particularly on the country-specific issues which could lead to confrontations that may be avoided in the first place. Politicization, selectivity and double standards should be eliminated. It is crucial to maintain good atmosphere for constructive dialogue. Most importantly, we must not allow human rights to be used as a tool for some countries to impose values, destabilize and interfere in other countries' internal affairs. Efforts made should not be intrusive, but rather should be based on dialogue and other peaceful means. Strong emphasis should be given to advisory services and technical assistance. The growing global economic and financial crisis, broadening uncertainties, should compel us to pay more attention to economic, social, and also cultural rights. The right to food, right to housing, clean water, education, employment, health, and other basic needs should not be taken for granted. Many developing countries are now enduring multiple and worsening crises linked to deepening global recession and rising unemployment. It is important for the international community to work together to find a solution to this economic crisis. The economic recovery will contribute to the government's capacity to carry out their responsibilities to protect the human rights of all their peoples and maintain progress. Madam President, Malaysia has always attached great importance to the promotion and protection of human rights. We are not only cognizant of our obligations to international human rights instruments that we are party to, but we ensure the implementation of those obligations domestically. We are committed to continue improving the human rights of all our people. Article 29(1) of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights 1948 demonstrates that human rights cannot be applied in a vacuum. Consequently, human rights are to be practiced depends upon the vision of human communities to govern their exercise and manifestation. In a plural society such as ours, the parameters of human rights in Malaysia rest on the fundamental values which mirror the character of the society at large. In this sense, Malaysia subscribes to our own unique and tested blend of democracy and human rights. A practice so efficaciously illustrates the prevalence of the Malaysian society. Malaysia celebrates the distinction and the diversity of its people. The convergence of cultures has enriched the country by reanimating more tolerance into a reconciliatory acceptance of each other's differences. Malaysia, a multicultural, multiracial, multi-religious country, believes in the practice of moderation and preserving peace, unity, stability, and multifariously. Malaysia has always believed that the best way to achieve improvement of human rights of its people is by advocating moderation or wasatiyah in every aspect of life. This way in which Malaysia adjudicates diversity provides an uncommon study in the equipoise of moderation and peaceful coexistence in the world. For the past 54 years since our independence, we have worked so hard and come so far to get to where we are today. Although perfection is hard to achieve when it comes to managing a country with various communities and ethnic groups and with diverse religious beliefs, we have strived to accommodate the basic and fundamental needs of Malaysians as enshrined in Universal Declarations of Human Rights. Madam President, the value of moderation is especially embedded in exercising the right to freedom of speech and freedom of assembly in Malaysia. These rights can only be exercised only as long as it does not impinge upon the rights of others or create a situation in which the existence of a whole community is put into jeopardy. Restrictions posed are aligned to the provisions of various international human rights instruments. The security and safety of Malaysians are of priority to the government and will remain high on its agenda. This is the main objective of the Peaceful Assembly bill, which was introduced and tabled in Parliament and subsequently approved by both houses. We strive to achieve a delicate balance to allow for a people to assemble peacefully and at the same time ensure that assemblies would be free from violence or actions that could harm or losses to our people. Madam President, in line with our intention to realize a mature, modern and functional democracy and to further enhance civil liberty in the country, the government has decided to repeal a number of laws which include the Internal Security Act, emergency will also be further reviewed, and those are relevant or justified will be repealed. Malaysia is also committed to implement its international obligations domestically. We have made necessary adjustments and will continue to make more changes in our legal framework in order to comply with various international human rights instruments that we are party to. Thus far, significant and tangible results can be seen in our domestic legal framework from Malaysia's ratifications of the Disabilities Convention in July 2010, withdrawal of a number of reservations to the Convention of the Eliminations of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, and the Convention on Rights of the Child. Our efforts are not confined to just legal adjustments. We have also operationalized national policies on children and in the protection of children, which includes action plans on both, among other things. Apart from looking into the current initiative on human rights in Malaysia, we are also looking into the future. We have established a technical subcommittee to study the core international human rights treaties that we have yet to become a party to, namely the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, International Covenants on Economic, Social and Cultural Rights, Convention Against Torture, and International Convention of Elimination of All Forms of Racial Discrimination, with a view of possibly adhering to these treaties in the future. Malaysia is fully committed to continue improving the human rights of its people in every area of life. We should like to emphasize that our efforts to secure the promotion and protection of the human rights and fundamental freedoms of Malaysians have been very much focused on achieving interracial harmony with society, coupled with equitable socio-economic development, while taking into account the human rights and fundamental freedoms of the individual. Madam President, realizing the highest standards of human rights for all still remains a lofty goal. We, who have been tasked with advancing this noble cause, must demonstrate political resolve and a spirit of cooperation. Malaysia remains steadfast in our commitment to work constructively with all in meeting this great challenge. In a global community, clear universal recognition of the fundamental principle of human rights and a universal acknowledgement of diversity in areas of human endeavors can serve a sound basis for the constructive human rights dialogue. Much could be learned from greater awareness of human diversity and human dignity. I thank you, Madam President.
Muchísimas gracias, señor ministro.